Receipts. The proof is in the conversation.
Hey everybody, Robert Galop, your host here today, and I have the pleasure of speaking with Summer Daoud, product marketing leader at Attentive. Summer, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and we actually, so full disclosure, we actually worked together at Intellipere a handful of years ago. So I've got some inside scoop on your background, and fun story we'll talk about here in a second. But wanted to get the lay of the land with you. What are you doing at Attentive, and what are you looking forward to?
Yeah, so I've been at Attentive for almost a year now. It was kind of a great convergence of my background because I've spent a lot of my product marketing career in MarTech with companies like Bazaar Voice. We worked together at Intellipere 4 years ago, which was in the SMS space, but through CPaaS lens. And I worked in retail with Walmart, so that convergence really kind of came together with Attentive and was the right opportunity for me about a year ago. So I lead a team of, I think, 12 product marketers right now, fully loaded, and help make sure we're enabling our field to talk about our products in a differentiated way.
Cool. So product marketing is always, it's that weird space between pure marketing and product and some of the other areas of the business. So what got you into product marketing, and what do you love so much about it?
That's great. A great question. Yeah, I mean, I came from the retail side, doing consumer marketing with Walmart, and I wanted to make the transition into tech. I just felt like there was more location flexibility. I was living in Bentonville at the time and was wanting to move back to Austin. And for product marketing, the easiest way to get into product marketing is really understanding the buyer. And I knew our buyer when I made the transition to Bazaar Voice inside and out because Walmart was a big customer of Bazaar Voice. And so while I was ramping up on what product marketing is, I was able to really speak to what the buyer is looking for. And that's what I love about product marketing is it is very strategic. It's a lot different than brand and demand gen. You are this like cross section between product sales and the rest of the marketing team. And so it's like kind of being a CMO of the product and really understanding everything end to end. And so I really fell in love with it when I was at Bazaar Voice and bringing that customer lens from Walmart. And then I've spent the last, I guess, 12 or 13 years since leading product marketing teams.
Yeah, it's a fun space because it gets really strategic. You have a big impact on the business, and you actually get to play a little bit in the product side as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting too, because I've had product marketing sit on the product management team and on the marketing team, and it varies. Usually what I've seen, and I've even had it in the same organization in both. So with both Cart.com and Bazaar Voice, I started under product and moved under marketing. And that tends to happen as a company matures and they have a more mature marketing team. So, but either way, wherever you sit, having those really close connections to the product management is really important.
Yeah. So you've said Walmart a couple of times, and I know there's a fun story with Walmart and Pitbull in Alaska. So why don't you share that, because it's always fun to hear.
It is like my perpetual fun fact, but this was, I think it was more than 15 years ago, but I was working for Walmart and we were launching local Facebook pages. So, there were 4,000 Walmart stores. And so we had an individual page and we were looking for more fans. And at the time, the best way you can do that was kind of a campaign around it. So we had Pitbull was an investor of a product that we sold at Walmart that was looking for promotion. And so they offered up an appearance from Pitbull in collateral for promoting on social media. So we did a little campaign that was like your local Walmart store on Facebook in the month of July. And the one with the most new likes will get a visit from Pitbull. Kind of set it, forget it, hand it off to my agency, didn't think much of it. Our agency comes back a couple of weeks later saying there's a weird spike in likes in Kodiak Island, Alaska. So we start digging into that because we're like, that's odd. That's a tiny little island where there is a Walmart store, but it's really remote. And sure enough, a campaign started on Twitter and Reddit by a comedian to hashtag exile Pitbull to the most remote Walmart in the nation. It spread like wildfire. It was all over like the Today Show and late night shows all over the internet. And this was the time where there were a couple of those like hijack campaigns happening. And sure enough, it was like one of those things where we could back out on terms and conditions, or we could be a good sport about it. So we worked with Pitbull's team and we had the store send us a picture that we want Pitbull and Kodiak with a big Kodiak bear behind them. And Pitbull was tweeting, that he wants to go there. And so it all went, there was no turning back at that point. And so within a few weeks, we had a major event on the island. The island's only 6,000 people, and we had, I think 70,000 likes for that store. And we had at least a quarter of the island show up to our event. Lots of funny stories on the logistics of trying to get all this stuff to a remote island. Thankfully, Walmart, being one of the best logistics companies in the world, helped us getting stuff on boats and, lending us store associates and things. We used the Coast Guard Alaska Air Force Base to host the event. I got a lesson in Alaskan history, and bringing together local dancers and performers and the mayor to give them a key to the city and all sorts of fun stuff. Turned out to be a fabulous event. And, everybody, we even brought the comedian who started it all to the event. And so that was definitely a highlight in my career and still a fun story to tell.
Yeah, that's awesome. Glad everybody was a good sport about that, and it does make a great story. So so let's get into product marketing a little bit, and let's talk about what success looks like in your position and for your team.
Sure. At the end of the day, we're really tied to making our sellers successful. And that includes our customer success as well. Helping ensure that they understand the product and can sell it efficiently. So some of the metrics that we look at are, of course, like win-loss, and especially around specific products, but even just like time to close. And can we shave some time off by curating some things for them, making vertical specific collateral to kind of create relevance. We also are responsible for making our marketing partners successful. So ensuring they have the right messaging for, a web landing page, for example, while we're not writing the copy, we're ultimately responsible for ensuring that our copywriters have the right messaging to work off of. So we work really closely with our demand gen partners, our customer marketing, our brand partners to ensure that the messaging is really tight. And then they can optimize it for social media, for web, for the channels, emails and things like that. And then, of course, part of our job is insights and just ensuring that we have a good grasp on what's going on with our customers, but with the market. And we're feeding that back into the business as well, not only to the product managers, but really broadly, why we're winning and losing deals, things like win-loss interviews, et cetera.
So, controversial question for you. Is there anybody else in the business that knows the product and the customer better than your team?
That's a great question. I will say we have some really, really smart sellers and CS people in our organization, but I will say the product managers are very close to the customer as well in our organization. And we are not as customer facing as the CSDs and sales reps are. So I would say there are people who know the product as well, if not more technically. So the product managers are definitely more in the weeds on some of the underpinnings of the products. But I would say we have a good broad knowledge of the product of our customer base.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't go anywhere right now without talking about AI. In fact, I think the last 2 or 3 years, you couldn't do anything without talking about AI. So in your space, I know in particular, it's had a huge impact. I'd love to hear how it's changed, what your team's doing, how you look at the position, and what you're delivering to the company.
Sorry, are you talking about our AI and our product, or how we're utilizing AI as a product marketing team?
How you're using it as a team. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So definitely, of course, I'm very pro using AI. I think my team knows that. We've built custom GPTs where we've embedded transcripts and messaging docs so that we can really query against. We're trying to tap into knowledge of certain people in the organization and put it all into custom GPT, and then we can query, how would this person position this? And it's a great way to scale instead of having to go back to somebody every single time. So I think that's been really helpful. And of course, just, using ChatGPT or Claude for things like that. But we also have AI built into a lot of our tools. So we use Gong really heavily as well. Call listening is an important part of our role. We don't get to sit in on all the customer calls, but I encourage my team to go walk their dog and listen to Gong on the phone, go get their nails done and listen to some Gong calls. Like whatever you're out and about, you have an opportunity to kind of add some Gong to it. And that there's really cool AI functionality there now too, to not only it used to just be based off keywords, but now you can set up different AI filters that can tell you like, this is a boomerang story, or this is a really interesting, churn risk. And and they actually use a lot of really sophisticated AI to kind of deduce that. We also, we're using like pretty much all of our stack. Like we use Clue for Compete and as our CI tool. They have really good AI functionality that you can just kind of ask a question. It's more agentic instead of having to like search through the battle card, you can just be like, how does attentives pricing compare to X competitor? And it's going to like go through and just spit that out for you, which is nice. Before you had to really nail the keywords, and it's able to triangulate that a little bit better. So that's just a few of the tools that we use.
Yeah. Are there areas where people are talking about using AI and you don't see it quite fitting the bill yet, or it creates more issues than it solves?
Yeah, I think copywriting's not quite there. I think that's still like, I encourage my team, like pretty much everything, like I'm fine with, meeting notes, throw it in AI. I don't care, be efficient with like your project plans, like put it in AI. But when I see like messaging being written and I can tell with them dashes and things that it was done by AI, it's like, like the messaging, if you can't as a product marketer articulate your messaging, like we have a problem. Of course, sometimes, you might want to like come up with a more succinct way to say something great. But I hate when I see like messaging documents like fully AI generated. And same thing, I think, when like writing blogs, like we have some tools that have our brand voice, like Writer we use as a team. And it's still though like feels AI generated, and like web copy and things like that. We still do better with like having a human copywriter.
Yeah. The M dashes, there's certain patterns.
All right, M dash. I feel like I love an M dash too, and it's sad that you can't use them anymore.
Yeah.
And then actually one other thing too that I'm hoping we'll get further along is slide generation. There's a lot of good tools for that, but it's just they're still really like basic. And I think I need to probably play around a few of the newer ones, but I've heard they're getting better. But that's something that I would love to be able to take, a narrative document and just be like, okay, like how would you structure this into a deck and have it spit out on brand slides? Like that would be phenomenal. But right now I think it sometimes can help you, like, how would you outline this? But in terms of creating visualizations out of concepts, it's just not there yet.
Yeah. We've really found it's great as a partner. Right. So we'll put in a ton of information, ask for guidance on how we're going to line up a conversation or line up a story, put that in our words, and then go back out and test it.
Yeah.
And then come back and go through iterations. But at the end of the day, if you're not touching it and molding the outputs, you're going to end up with slop, as everybody likes to say right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's talk about voice of the customer in your job. Love that you guys are using Gong. As you look at the role of a product marketer, how important is voice of the customer in the role?
Yeah, it's incredibly important. And our team, we think of it broader as like voice of the market. We actually have someone within the CS organization whose role is voice of the customer, and their job is to collect like what products and features our customers are asking for, and we prioritize in the roadmap. So it's kind of nice because they handle that piece. That's much more just like, we have 300 requests for this feature, let's move it up. My team is more of like, what are sort of like the macro things that are happening in the market, things, like we talking about tariffs and how that's impacting our customers, why competitive insights, our team owns that, why we're winning and losing. So we do some qualitative interviews, win-loss interviews, to try to get to that. And so I think it's really broader. Like, we want to make sure we're not just representing customers, but kind of our prospects as well. And I think one great way that so Gong, as I mentioned, is a huge source of understanding what our customers and prospects are talking about. So encourage my team to always listen to those calls. But our analysts are really great surrogate for that as well. We work with, Forrester and Gartner. And sometimes when I just don't have time to survey a bunch of customers about something, I'll schedule an inquiry and just be like, what are, you're out there talking to 100 customers. What are you guys, hearing about agentic AI, for example? Like, should we be rebranding some of our products around agentic? And they're great surrogate for that as well. So of course, all the research is really comprehensive, but those inquiries are valuable. You get some good, we do some first party surveys as well to just we have this consumer survey to understand from consumers what, not just our customers, like what are they care about when it comes to like personalization, for example, because we personalize our SMS and email marketing, and how are customers feeling about personalized content and their data, how are brands like responding to tariffs and things. So we do a lot of like first party research with that as well. That gives us a good pulse on the market. So yeah, I think there's a lot of good sources, and you get a lot just from interviewing internally our sales reps and our frontline to kind of hear what objections that they're getting, win-loss reasons in Salesforce, and like the detail there are a great source of information as well.
Yeah. So it sounds like you guys are pretty buttoned up in your group at Attentive. Are there areas that you're not able to cover or that you wish you were able to do more in?
Yeah, I think that's a good. I say all of that stuff is great, but we don't do enough of it. I think like it is like we're trying to build a little bit more of a repeatable motion around a lot of this stuff, and it tends to be a little more one-off. And so I think it's just my team's busy, and it's like you have to carve out some time to listen to a gong tell, and that's why I try to encourage them to be creative about it. And then it's also just like some of the stuff is just fragmented, and kind of how we bring it together and tell a cohesive story takes time. And so sometimes I feel like we're shooting off like, here's like what we learned from the analysts, and here's what we learned from this, but like actually taking the time to do an annual readout that's like, here's what we heard throughout the year from win-loss interviews, from call listening, from this. And that's something that's been on our list for, I think I've been there almost a year. We've had some churn with folks that we want to make sure we get this year is a nice readout that we can deliver with like real true insights that we can action on.
Yeah. So for a less mature organization, and we can go back to IntelliPair, when you joined, we were just getting the product marketing function going. What do you usually see as those first things that you need to get going? And what are the key challenges that you've got to overcome to really get product marketing to that next level, or at least to a level where it's starting to perform?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think, well, first, like a compete program is really important. Having somebody, if you can have someone dedicated, but if not, like someone who's half-time, it doesn't have to be a very senior role. I've found this is one that I've had more junior folks, I've had more senior, but you can get a lot of bang for your buck, even with somebody who's a couple of years into their career. And, but having somebody who's living and breathing what's going on with competition and owning win-loss. I know that was something we started to do at IntelliPair, was actually, we did the interviews in-house. But there's a lot of agencies, if you don't have the resources, who do it really well and more credibly sometimes from a third party. I think that's a great place. And then call listening, if you don't have a Gong or any type of call platform, I think pushing your RevOps and Rev team around that. I think most companies have it now, but I think putting some goals around all the PMMs listening to calls and sharing some of those insights as a team is a great place to start. And if you don't have an analyst program, also okay, but there's a lot you can be just scanning from like analyst research, things that are just publications in your industry, and still getting some of that information.
Yeah. Big fan of downloading free reports that other people have paid for, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Those are the best. I mean, those reprints are expensive, so you may as well do it on somebody else's tab.
Yeah. So you look out over the next few years, tools are absolutely evolving at a rapid clip right now. Technology is evolving. What do you see as kind of the state of the art, and what are you excited about in the product marketing space as you look a few years out?
Sure. I mean, I think the sophistication for the AI features in Clue and Gong are still just scratching the surface. So I'm really interested as they can get into more deep research. Like, obviously you can do that within, all of the LLMs, but like, can we have that more integrated to where the generation of the content, the competitive intelligence is there within the products? I think that would be really cool. And that, as I mentioned, with like presentations, I think that's just the biggest gap, is like having somebody who can really like help you build a pitch deck through your messaging, and what you're, and one that's not just the outline, but like truly like building the creative that's on brand. So that would be like my big wish list, I think, as we're thinking a couple years out. And then I'm trying to think what else. I think those would be the big ones for me.
Cool. All right, so let's transition into a few random questions for you. So it's full disclosure, as we're recording this, it's September.
Yes.
We're early in the college football season, but I gotta ask, since you're in Austin, Quinn Ewers or Arch Manning?
Ooh, good question. I'm going to go Arch, but it's still early. I think people put a lot of pressure on him to just come out the gate strong with Ohio State. And, everyone was complaining that he wasn't being started last year. But Texas fans love to complain. I think we have a lot of these like legacy quarterbacks and, that look really good on paper. We'll see how he delivers. I'm going to the game this weekend. I have my reunion for my business school coming up. So, it's an easy game against, I think, UTEP, but, they're the Sam Houston, but
yeah.
Mhm.
So good luck this weekend. It's, and you guys are in such a tough conference. So he's got his work cut out for him.
Yeah, and a lot of pressure, but that was a tough season opener, and I think he did okay. So we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Next question. Best part of South by Southwest?
Great question. Well, so I think like it's not the conference itself. I mean, I've been in Austin 17 years, and I think I've always told people it's like 40% preparation, 40% who you know, and like 20% dumb luck. And so much of the unofficial stuff is where it's at. I love experiential marketing, and I love to see the activations like Netflix and HBO and stuff pull together these really cool like Game of Thrones things. And so I personally like carve out a lot of time for that. And I don't really go to a lot of the official events anymore. And then I've just stumbled into like, I was like in a bar hanging out with friends, no event going on. They shut the doors down, and apparently Tiesto was doing a pop-up, and if we were already in there, you're in, and everyone else was lined around the corner. So like sometimes you just get a little bit of magic where Justin Bieber happened to be performing outside my house where I could see him from my balcony.
Super cool.
Mhm.
All right. And then an area that gets kind of religious, I know, in Texas. So Tex-Mex, barbecue, or straight up Mexican?
Oh, good question. I mean, I was born and raised in California, and like Mexican and Tex-Mex are totally different. It's almost like, real sushi versus like, fried cream cheese sushi. Like they're just totally different. I love Tex-Mex in its own right when it's done well. I'm not a huge barbecue girly. I think I just save it for when out of towners come in. I love it a couple times a year, but I don't need to be eating it every weekend. But it's you get the meat sweats if you have a little too much of that. So
True. All right. So Tex-Mex, is that?
Yeah, I would say Tex-Mex is like more of my like I could eat that more every day. But I definitely don't need the baskets of chips that come with it.
I hear you. Well, cool. Summer, awesome spending some time with you, getting your perspective on the product marketing space, and can't wait to keep in touch and talk more again in the future.
Sounds good. Great catching up.
Thanks.